Welcome in to 2-for-1 Drafts live on YouTube and Twitter. Also, if you're listening on the audio version today, we're going to look at the 2021 NFL mock draft, the final 2021 NFL mock draft. Also going to take a look at the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. We didn't talk about that on the Monday episode. And and also some of the injury red flags that came up. Azeez Ojulari, Terrace Marshall Jr., some stuff came up there. Caleb Farley also just got diagnosed with COVID-19. Will be spending, I think, the NFL draft at home. And the elephant in the room here, if you're watching live on YouTube or on Twitter, big shout out to podcast listener William Filippi. Sent us a bunch of gear from Campbell University because you had that story. You had that story.
You guys remember the story. We don't have to talk about it.
Okay, anymore. We don't have to talk about it because you had that story where you... I mean, the bottom line is you hooked up this chick who went to Campbell University. And then the story itself is very good. Go back to listen to a previous episode that's funny. Guy said, hey, I go to Campbell. You want this helmet? I was like, absolutely. Let's go. So big shout out to William Filippi. Yeah. And I'll say this. Other podcast listeners, if you have something as cool as Campbell gear, Camel gear, please shoot me a DM. Happy to dress up the pod. If it's medical grade smelling salts too, we'll do that.
Yeah,
as well.
If you sell those, we're interested also.
We are looking for a smelling salt sponsor yesterday.
It's signed by Mike Minter, former Panthers great safety. He's the head coach now at Campbell. So,
dude, that's sick.
Yeah,
I kind of like the orange a lot. I have to rock the polo this weekend. Throw some dye around. Just kidding. The NFL drafts this weekend. Let's go ahead and start with the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. So Chiefs trade for OBJ. They get Orlando Brown Jr., a 2021 second-round pick, which comes out to be the number 58 overall pick, and then a 2022 sixth-round pick. In return, Baltimore gets the number 31 overall pick from the Kansas City Chiefs, the first-rounder. They also get the number 94 overall pick in 2021, third-rounder, the number 136 overall pick, a fourth-rounder in this year's draft, and then a 2022 fifth-round pick. That's a lot. That's a lot of things to say. In a nutshell, they move up from 58 to 31, have a 2022 fifth and sixth round pick swap where they get the better pick and get a fourth round pick, number 136, in return. From the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart and what the Kansas City Chiefs said after the trade, they felt like they gave up, well, in total, all that they gave up, a 45th overall pick in return for Orlando Brown Jr. While the Baltimore Ravens, if you look at what PFF sees, PFF sees what they got in return as a 27th overall pick. That was my Apple Watch.
Oh, nice. Yes, so obviously we're going to value later picks more than the Jimmy Johnson value chart. Like the second and third rounders we think are undervalued in that. And so, you gave up basically, in our eyes, gave up the 27th overall pick for Orlando Brown. And now, a few things to unpack here. One, Orlando Brown is coming from a scheme in Baltimore that we've talked about when he first requested a trade that is about as favorable to pass protection as it gets in the NFL. One, just what Greg Roman does there from a passing play action perspective. And two, from the fact that no one can really rush Lamar Jackson. You have to contain rush against Lamar Jackson because you cannot let him break the pocket. So you do not have to face a full complement of moves from a pass rusher. Now, Mahomes has some of that too. Some teams will choose to not necessarily to try to keep him in the pocket as much as possible. But no one does so more than Lamar Jackson. No one forces their hand from defenders more so than Lamar Jackson. So it's just not going to be like he had last year. 77.8 pass blocking grade, 73.5 run blocking grade. Solid numbers, but I think you may see a step back from him this upcoming season just because of that.
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, pass protection gets a lot harder when you're not pass protecting for Lamar Jackson. You could see not necessarily. I'm not saying he's going to bust in Kansas City. He's not going to live up to expectation, but I do think that it's a different game. It's a different game when you are pass protecting for Patrick Mahomes versus when you're pass protecting for Lamar Jackson. For all the stuff that you just said, you can't rush Lamar Jackson the same way you can rush other quarterbacks in this league because you can't afford to break contain. You can't get aggressive with the moves you choose on the outside, the inside, and so forth. All right, you want to move to the...
Well, just two more things here about this Chiefs strategy. Now, two things to be true here. They're a much better team this upcoming season because of this trade. Orlando Brown is going to be better, not necessarily going to be better, is a much safer bet to be good this upcoming season than whichever tackle you're going to pick at 31 overall. I don't think that's even a debate. But then you got to pay him. And the floor now, after you make a deal like this, the floor is the franchise tag because he has all the leverage. Yep. That is the floor for his bargaining. So his bargaining floor is in the $18, $19 million a year range at the position, which is just they already have the most guys in the NFL making over $14 million plus per year. They're about to add another in Orlando Brown. That's just a scary sort of top-heavy roster building that is for now where I'm just curious to see what this team's going to look like 3 or 4 years from now.
They got to hit in the draft, too.
Yeah.
I know that obviously they don't have the number 31 overall pick, but you got to start getting some young talent. Like, you have to have guys on rookie contracts that are contributing as starters. You don't see a ton of that right now. You can't afford to miss on picks, man.
You got 8 guys that are good that, $14 million a year. You need 14 others.
Yeah,
you need to fill out that roster.
What's wild, too, and I was looking at sports because you also saw that Antonio Brown re-signed with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A stat that's been thrown around a ton is that they returned all 22 starters. I think it's like top 16 players on their team in terms of total snap counts played last year, all coming back in 2022 or 2021. But Kansas City Chiefs are still the favorite to win the Super Bowl, and that's because of Patrick Mahomes. At plus 500 to win the Super Bowl in 2021. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus 750. Like, this is a team built to win the Super Bowl, and they know that. Like, you have to have some levels of self-awareness. I tweeted out my take about the Las Vegas Raiders that potentially trading up, being my surprise candidate outside of the obvious 4 candidates in Denver, New England, Washington, Chicago to trade up for a quarterback, because the awareness of it is that Las Vegas is in no way, shape, or form in a window. They are not even close to being competitive in the AFC, a bottom 3, bottom 5 team in the AFC in terms of making the postseason, according to Las Vegas. Like, they are not considered, from a power ranking perspective, one of the top teams. They aren't in a window. So looking to trade back, looking to find opportunities to get better quarterback position would be smart. Right now, Kansas City has the best quarterback in the NFL. And they're going to have the best quarterback in the NFL for probably the next few years at least, if not for beyond that. Trying to win with him right now is obviously the priority. All right, let's jump now to the red flag stuff that's come up, the medical red flags out of the combine medical checks. You're hearing or seeing that Caleb Farley, obviously
back surgery.
Yeah, 2 back surgeries, I think, in the last year, and then also just got tested positive for COVID-19. Dude, can't catch a break, man.
My God, talk about a draft. Now, it's not an all-timer. We've seen some all-timers in the Lyle Collins or even Larry Tunsil on draft day, but this is a bad fall. This is not what you want to happen in the spring leading up to your draft.
No.
COVID right now, man, just like, again, kind of cherry on top of a bad spring for him.
But then you're also seeing that Azeez Ojulari, the Georgia edge defender, potentially maybe falling outside the first round, has some quote-unquote degenerative knee stuff, or what's going on there?
Degenerative lower leg, which that almost 1,000% means knee. Now, what is that? Does he not have any cartilage? Is that like Jadeveon Clowney needing microfracture surgery before he plays down in the NFL? And we've obviously seen how that's impacted him and his ability to get any long-term deal, because no one wants to be the team that his knee just like goes on. That's very concerning, though. Obviously, we need more information, but that I would not draft a guy with a degenerative knee issue in the first round is all I'll say. Even if his tape's good, like Ojulari, but that's just, those are scary. Those can lead to guys just not playing for you.
The other player that had some injury stuff come up was Terrace Marshall Jr. of LSU. Do you think he ultimately falls out of his first round now?
Yeah, especially for the wide receiver position. Daniel Jeremiah reported this. Multiple injuries throughout high school and college were flagged at the combine. Never a great thing.
Yikes. What comes up at the combine medical check that you have high school injuries?
I mean, stuff sometimes doesn't like heal properly. Like, I know I got like a thumb that's still fucked up, and my quad I got a hole in.
Let's see
it's
it.
Like, you want to see the hole in my
quad that
quad?
has a hole in it?
I got a hole in my quad, yeah.
What does that mean?
I mean, like, I tore my quad, and it just never grew back in one spot. So that would probably get flagged if I had a hole in my quad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. I just looked on the Twitter live stream. Remember, you can follow us live on YouTube or Twitter here. My hair is an absolute disaster. It looks
got like
kind
a little,
of
triangle
ridiculous.
going
I don't know
on.
what's happening here. Someone needs help.
And it goes up to
Someone needs help,
just
and it's me.
one hand
Someone
through
needs
it.
help, and it's me. Someone needs help, and it's me. All right, you ready to get into your last?
One more guy. Rashawn Slater. This one's big.
Okay.
Apparently flagged for a back at the.
Oh, wow.
That one, obviously, again, these are just like rumors, whispers, but they don't come out of nowhere. There probably is something. We don't know what it is, though, but that is just worth noting in case, he starts falling come Thursday night.
Man, you hate to see that. To see that. Are you ready to get into your final 2021 NFL mock draft?
Let's do it, dude.
This is a predictive mock draft based on what you're hearing, what you're seeing. This is what you think will happen in the 2021 NFL draft. I know all draft season you've done mocks that are what you would do, which I think is a better exercise early in the process when you don't have connections to the league and those types of things. But now that betting markets are somewhat solidified, you're hearing more reports now that reporters are getting closer to the league. This is what you think ultimately happens in 2021 NFL draft. We're going to skip past the first 2 picks. Jacksonville Jaguars taking quarterback Trevor Lawrence of Clemson at number 1, and then at number 2, New York Jets take quarterback Zach Wilson of BYU. Do you think of these 2 teams, which one regrets it more? Is there a single team, or is it just they?
Oh, which ends up regretting it?
Yeah.
I hate putting that on. I don't think either of them end up regretting.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Definitely
about
not the Jaguars.
Yeah,
it's the Jaguars are like it's like the Bengals last year, where if you went Herbert or Tua, you were overthinking it.
Yeah,
like you were not making the best decision with the sort of information you had on hand. Now, it doesn't mean Herbert can't be better in the future. He very well may. As a rookie, graded a higher. But it means that with the information at hand, you would regret it way more if you went elsewhere and it blew up in your face. So like this one, everyone's saying Trevor Lawrence. If you try to outsmart him and say, ooh, Zach Wilson, the high end, or ooh, Trey Lance, what could he be? That has the higher regret ceiling. I don't like talking about ceiling, but that's the higher regret ceiling.
You had to bring up Herbert versus Tua. You know, the people on this podcast are upset with the takes you have there.
We're 1 year in, guys.
1 year in.
Just chill.
1 year in. I just wanted to find an interesting way to talk about these first two picks because I feel like they've been locked in for the better part of the month plus, maybe even like 6 weeks. It's been Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, and then New York, Zach Wilson. What you have at 3 is very interesting. You have San Francisco 49ers obviously trading up to 3. It is right now the glaring favorite. It's going to be Mac Jones. According to betting markets, Mac Jones is minus 400 to go to the San Francisco 49ers at number 3 overall. Trey Lance is plus 400, Justin Fields is plus 500, and then every other player is like a freaking pipe dream. So it's one of those 3, but it's obvious right now that the glaring favorite is Mac Jones. I would not place a bet on Mac Jones at minus 400. I'd probably lean in the Trey Lance direction, but you have the San Francisco 49ers taking Trey Lance, North Dakota State at number 3. Going against, you should probably put some money down if you think this is going to happen.
Hey, betting's illegal in Ohio. Don't advocate for that. Sorry.
And illegal in our hearts.
It's legal in my heart, but it's just the fucking bureaucrats. Don't get me started. I don't really care. But Trey Lance, to me, I wrote here, it feels like an NBA draft pick because you draft guys in the NBA after their freshman year of college now, and you've seen them for 30 college games. Maybe they weren't even like starters, but they got physical tools for days. And guys develop. Like we've seen them for a redshirt freshman year. And it was good. It was really good. I mean, I think he graded in the high 80s, only 4 turnover-worthy plays all year long. And I think that's the biggest thing is just his ability to protect the football combined with, the way he sees the game, the processing ability with a cannon and running ability. It's just, what could he be? He could be the best quarterback in this class. I don't think Mac Jones could be. Like, he's very good. I don't think he's ever going to, like, one of these guys will hit and be better than Mac Jones. That could be Trey Lance. That's why I think like you buy into the high end because of that.
I do think that the more we've looked at this, and honestly, the media hasn't covered this enough, don't you think? I don't think anyone's really talking about the 49ers number 3 overall pick. I haven't heard anything about it. But no, the more we've
should look into this.
The more we've covered this and talked about it, I do think, based off the reports you heard from ESPN's Adam Schefter, Lance Zierlein of The Athletic, Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Media, like all this stuff is like
that it was initially Mac Jones.
Yeah, it was initially Mac Jones. It was the San Francisco 49ers made this trade initially for Mac Jones. I think through this process, and you hear about Trey Lance, who's like fantastic on the whiteboard, really smart player, all these types of things, like talking to his coaches, talking to Trey Lance. I think he started to enter the conversation. And that's when you saw the report, I don't know, I think it was Peter King or someone else, that said it's a 2-horse race between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. But Mac Jones is the favorite. He was the lead dog out of the gate. And I think it ultimately is going to be Mac Jones. Like, betting markets don't give you these opportunities. Betting markets don't give you plus 400 or plus 500 if it's a coin flip. It's not. It is not a coin flip right now. San Francisco is leaning Mac Jones unless something drastically changes.
I disagree because betting markets are based solely off of reports. Mm-hmm. If someone reports it's Mac Jones, it's obviously going to swing that way. But as we've seen in years prior, reports don't know shit about teams at the top of the draft and what they actually mean to do until maybe the day of, if you hear a report. It was Josh Allen was the favorite 3 days before to go to the Browns. Like, that was the odds-on favorite. And it's like, they didn't know shit. Like,
fair.
So I do think that's in a scenario like this, the betting markets are just going to be like, they're going to swing wildly because it's so public perception based.
I don't even want to have the conversation. I've had this one too much. I don't want to have the conversation on why Justin Fields isn't in there. We believe Justin Fields is the number 3 overall quarterback. We believe he's the number 3 overall player in this class. We think if we were the San Francisco 49ers, we would take Justin Fields. Why they're not considering him, why he's not involved in these reports, it's hard to say. Is it the dyslexia? Is it that he was held back in 8th grade? Is it that he holds the ball too long? I don't know. Regardless, you're overthinking it in my opinion.
We were watching him at the bar yesterday at Elite 11 when he beat Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, that's right.
For the MVP there. He looked good then.
He did look good then.
So much
So
to
if
draft
we
that
look
guy.
at his Elite 11 tape, he's the number 3 overall pick. Might even be number 2.
Yeah,
All
he was
let's
better
jump,
than Wilson, though.
Let's jump to your number 4 pick here. You have the Denver Broncos trading up from 9 to 4 with the Atlanta Falcons to grab quarterback Justin Fields. I think this is a slam dunk for the Denver Broncos. What do you imagine they'd have to give up to go grab Justin Fields at number 4? I think that's a good conversation because we've talked about Denver trading up a ton, New England trading up a ton. What exactly does Denver have to get up to go from 9 to 4?
You can go like a future first and then maybe like a third. Maybe
future first and a third to get a dramatic upgrade over Drew Lock. I just don't know why anyone would go other way.
A few things here. And this, I've kept saying this. It's kind of like how I kept saying the 49ers are going to trade up. The Broncos are too good right now. They've Anthony Tresh, senior college analyst, PFF, ranked them the 6th best roster in the NFL heading into this draft. They have a very good team. They've filled out their holes defensively very well in free agency. They have a good offensive line. They have weapons. They don't have a quarterback. Drew Lock was a 2nd-round pick. Has graded out poorly in 2 straight seasons to start his career. Did not improve from year 1 to year 2. Like, there's a lot of issues in his game. And there's nothing like on his tape that's like, okay, yeah, he was good in college. Like, we can wait this guy out, wait for the development. It's like, there's nothing to say that the development's coming.
Yeah.
And the most valuable position in the NFL, you're not going to draft 9th next year. You're too good of a team. So if you're in the position, which they are, and they've taken these sort of afterthoughts every year since Manning left, Simeon, Locke, Lynch, go get the not so afterthought in this class. And obviously he's the 4th quarterback off the board, but that Justin Fields is not an afterthought at the quarterback position, let's say.
For you, others, I see him falling a little bit farther than number 4 overall. But again, you have the Denver Broncos.
Bucks.
Before we jump to number 5 here, the interesting conversation is, a lot of people want the Atlanta Falcons to stay put and take Kyle Pitts, generational tight end prospect, easily the best tight end prospect we've seen here at PFF in the past 5 years. Would you rather have Kyle Pitts at 4? Obviously, this is what you're predicting, but would you rather have Kyle Pitts at 4, or in this case, you have them? I'll tease the next pick at 9. You have them taking J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina. I think it could be between Horn and Surtain at 9. Would you rather, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, take a future first and a future third and Patrick Surtain, or Kyle Pitts? That's the question. I think that's the question the Falcons fans or Falcons front office has to ask.
So that's why from both perspectives here, that's why I put this trade together. It's because the Falcons need to trade back. Kyle Pitts is great. Generational tight end. That offense will be tough to stop. Now, obviously, their offensive line is still an issue, but that will be a difficult offense to stop. But you still have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You have the 2nd worst cap situation of any team in the NFL. So bad that you're contemplating trading Julio Jones because he is a bane with his cap hits over the coming seasons. You need more than one cheap guy. And honestly, if you draft Kyle Pitts 4th overall, he's not that cheap for a tight end. Mm-hmm. He's going to be one of the higher paid tight ends in the NFL just because that's the nature of the position. So
it's the market value.
Now, that's a different conversation, though, because it's more like he's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go there. But if you get, like I said, a future first, a future third, 9th overall pick, 3 cheap guys that could maybe come in and be starters for you that you need.
Yeah.
That you need, like I said, cheap players because you have so much money invested in this roster, tied up in guys like Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Grady Jarrett, that you can't get rid of. So
let me add some further perspective there. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Grady Jarrett, their 2021 cap figures account for 39% of the Falcons' total cap space this upcoming year. That is absurd. That is absurd. Jake Matthews is close, too. I think he's at like 12, 13, and that puts him over like 45% or around that range of how much cap they're allocating to 3 to 4 players. That's a tough situation. You heard, the Falcons talk about it recently, saying we're in one of the worst cap situations we've seen. It's why we're receiving calls and willing to listen to them, unlike Nick Caserio and Houston.
It's why Thomas Dimitroff's doing podcasts with George and Eric.
Whoa, hey, shots fired. Reel it in, kid. Reel it in. All right, let's go to Cincinnati.
But I mean, I'm not wrong.
All right, Cincinnati Bengals at 5. You have them taking wide receiver Jamar Chase, not Penei Sewell. It's been one of the more heated debates this offseason around the draft that isn't about quarterbacks. Do the Cincinnati Bengals, protect Joe Burrow, keep him from getting hurt again, and win up front, win in the trenches with Penei Sewell at number 5, or do they pair him up with what was the most lethal quarterback-wide receiver combination we've seen in college football over the past 5-10 years, and Jamar Chase, adding him, what he did at 19 years old. I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it another 1,000 times. What he did at 19 years old against Trayvon Diggs, C.J. Henderson, A.J. Terrell, and the rest of that schedule he had in the SEC in 2019 was bananas. I don't think we will see another receiver at that age have that level of dominance for a long time, because not only do you need good quarterback play, but you need a rare prospect like Jamar Chase.
Yeah, 24 deep receptions in 2019. That's 10 more than anyone in this class had that year. It's the PFF record for a single season in college. 7 years doing this. And Burrow was not good down the football field last year. Like, he struggled. Part of that's because A.J. Green was also not open. But when he was, he missed him. So
bite your tongue.
So I do think ultimately this is the pick, because it's a hey, Joe, you're our franchise guy. We're going to listen to you. We want you to fucking stay in Cincinnati. We don't want you to hold us hostage when your contract's up.
I'm saving this tweet for when they do go Jamar Chase at number 5. But the discourse on the site, when/if Joe Burrow gets hurt next year, even if it's just for a couple games, is going to be disgusting.
First sack.
Yeah, it's going to be disgusting.
Where's Benet?
Joe Burrow's going to get – no, it's not even just when he gets hurt. Joe Burrow's going to get, like, hit from the blind side, and, like, it's going to be an incomplete pass, and he gets up fine, but they're going to be like, this is why you don't draft – I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, Jamar Chase –
I mean, you have a very – that – you know, when you have like a tough decision on your hands and like you choose one thing over the other, and then you keep thinking about that other thing, that's going to be Cincinnati.
The grass is always greener, though.
Exactly.
You could take Penei Sewell, and then like if Joe Burrow's like no one's open down the football field and they're watching like bad football play at receiver, it's gonna be awful. I mean, there's
every Bengals fan will be tracking Penei Sewell's career like a hawk.
Dude, that's a very good point. It's gonna be fun though. I mean, that's why I love the draft, man. It's awesome. All right, let's go to number 6 here. You have the Miami Dolphins, which I don't think they thought when they traded back up to 6, from 12 to 6, so they went from 3 to 12 to 6, that they'd have this guy available to them. But if he is, they're going to sprint the card in. Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida.
I thought this was kind of the plan. They thought Chase or Pitts would be there. Mm-hmm. Maybe Waddle also.
What about Sewell? You're hearing, obviously, they traded Eric Flowers yesterday to the Washington football team.
That was an interesting move.
And they're kicking Robert Hunt. You know, reports are that they're kicking Robert Hunt into guard. Are they going to swing the bat on tackle?
They could. I mean, they very well could, but
they're in a really good spot though.
I thought the move up was for one of those blue chip receiver prospects. Now, could be wrong, but I think between Pitts and Sewell for them, I'd probably still lead Sewell, but Pitts is monster. Maybe for them Pitts, I don't know, whatever. But I think that the plan was go get one of the receivers.
Yeah. But my favorite thing to the Pitts thing to Miami, I don't think a lot of Miami Dolphins fans are saying this, but some I do see is like, what about Mike Gesicki? It's like, dude, what about Mike Gesicki? if every team's a Mike Gesicki away from needing to draft Kyle Pitts, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's not how you should view your team's roster.
That's like the Jaguars having Trevor Lawrence there and being like, what about Gardner Minshew?
It's very close. Very close.
That's a similar.
I mean, I also think it's similar, and we're going to get to this pick later, but I also think it's similar to New York Giants with Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. It's like, we don't need receiver anymore.
Yes.
We had to get all that. It's like, dude, if you're a Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton away from passing on Devontae Smith, what are we even talking about? What does roster needs? What are roster needs? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Go get better, obvious upgrades. You know what we need to pivot the conversation away from? I'm tired of the SEO that is draft needs, team needs, upgrades. Where are the obvious upgrade opportunities for a team? Because like, it's not about what you need. It's about where can you get better the most. You know, it's not like this is the biggest hole in the roster. We need someone to come in. It's like, no.
We don't have a fullback, guys.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't make sense to like attack the biggest glaring need, attack the biggest upgrade. You know, that's the biggest opportunity to upgrade at a position. All right, you have now at 7. This is, I think, a prime trade down spot. Yeah. The Detroit Lions are a half win better, according to Las Vegas books. A half win better than the disaster dumpster fire that is the Houston Texans in terms of total win totals right now. Mm-hmm. They are not expected to be competent, let alone competitive next year. Have some self-awareness and realize that you can trade down, allocate more picks, grab more draft capital, and retool this roster because it's in no way, shape, or form in a position to compete in 2021. Trading back is a huge opportunity for them at 7. You have them trading back with New England. They go up and grab Mac Jones of Alabama.
I just think, again, I've been saying it with Pats. And now I think the football team and the Bears have some desperation, too, to their quarterback situations. Football team, maybe a little more so. But the Patriots, I think, definitely do. Like, just with the way they've built this roster now, you can't pay Cam Newton if he plays well. I mean, you could, but it's kind of then strapped. So we've seen the flexibility a rookie quarterback gives you to be major players in free agency consistently. That's make that move then. I think that's why you'd make that move. And obviously from the Lions' perspective, move them down, gaining any more picks you can with the sheer number of holes in this roster. necessary. Now, I don't think they're the second worst team in the NFL, but I do think that they're in a mini rebuild of sorts.
All right, let's jump now to number 8. You have the Carolina Panthers taking advantage of a falling Penei Sewell of Oregon. Sitting there at number 8, they can take Penei Sewell, 5 quarterbacks off the board, Kyle Pitts off the board, and obviously you have Jamar Chase off the board. Now, Penei Sewell, a blue chip talent in this class, the obvious offensive tackle one for PFF for quite some time. He's been the number 1 guy. I know others see Rashawn Slater as the best offensive tackle in this class. But for PFF, Penei Sewell, top 10 player in this class, number 1 overall offensive tackle. Panthers get better along the offensive line at number 8.
Yes, and this would be a dream scenario. I think I put it in as such in my dream scenario mock I did last week. But Russell Okung ain't walking through that door. Obviously a free agent. Bitcoin price has risen a lot, so he might be done. That might be it. He might hang him up and just sit on that Bitcoin he got last year. But Greg Little, his replacement, we feel good about Greg Little. I don't. I like to coming out, but you got to recognize that he hasn't been good whatsoever since he started for the Panthers. That's on me for being a little bit higher on him than where he got drafted. But Penei Sewell, plug and play.
Another pick I like here a lot, and I don't think I've seen mocked a ton, is corner. Them going after Surtain or Horn at 8. What's your take there?
Yeah. I mean, in this conversation.
Yeah.
I've said I want Greg Newsome at 20 rather than any of the other guys at 10. So if you're going corner, you be a trade spot for somebody now. 2 to tango. We always say that, but I don't love the value of defense early on. Defense later on, sure, but defense early on in this draft, they're not the only blue chip defensive player. We said this, Micah Parsons, in this class. The rest are kind of flawed.
And that's blue chip on the field. There's a lot of character stuff that is interesting. With
yeah,
Micah
he's
Parsons.
more of a potato
red
chip.
Red chip. Potato chip works.
Yeah.
I think it's more vulgar than a red chip. I mean, blue chip. I mean, a chip. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, let's get to number 9 here. You have the Atlanta Falcons at 9 after the trade back with Denver, taking first corner off the board, not Patrick Surtain, Sam Monson's guy, J.C. Horn, South Carolina. You have him being the first corner off the board. Why do you have the Falcons taking Horn over Surtain here?
I think he has the little bit of the more rare. Which one is it?
I don't know.
More rare skill set. I do that. I should look that up because I've said that like 5 times now. More rare skill set and the press man ability. Teams cover that. You don't find press man ability in the 4th round. Just don't. Those guys go high. It's like C.J. Henderson last year. He went 9th overall.
True.
Why? Press man. To me,
he
that's
mirror too. His mirror ability was crazy. His
to me, that's
athleticism
Horn.
was crazy.
And so, I think the NFL, if you're looking for that, not to say that Surtain's like chopped liver and that you can find a Surtain in the 2nd round, but I just think what Horn brings to the table is a little bit different.
Higher floor though for Surtain.
Yeah, that's why we were higher.
All right, number 10, you have the Arizona Cardinals trading up. Not for QB here. They're going up for a wide receiver. Cliff Kingsbury gets himself another weapon because he needs it.
It's rarer and rarest.
I knew that.
You didn't tell me that.
Arizona Cardinals trade up from 16 to 10 with the Dallas Cowboys to grab wide receiver Jalen Waddle ahead of the New York Giants, who obviously could be in a position to grab Jalen Waddle there at 11. You have them going all the way up to 10. Is this what unlocks Kyler Murray and that Cliff Kingsbury offense I've been hearing about for the past 5 years?
Possibly. I mean,
is Andy Isabella dead, by the way? Is it over?
Okay.
Is the dream dead?
All right. Easy
Is it dead? I mean, if you had Jalen Waddle, is the dream dead?
Yes.
All right.
He's not stopping me from drafting Jalen Waddle. That's all I'll say. Waddle's he's just different, and the skill set he brings to the table is again what they're missing offensively in Arizona. They don't have a DeAndre Hopkins is a deep threat in terms of just like his ability, but he's not a deep threat like a guy you run an over route with, a guy you run a deep crosser, something like that, like a pure go from the slot or something. Waddle is a deep threat in that regard, in that his speed's on the field has to be accounted for. And obviously, like, they don't have that.
Yeah.
They've never utilized Andy Isabella in that manner. Now, do we trust them to, again, utilize Waddle correctly?
Do they utilize DeAndre Hopkins correctly?
I don't know, Jim. But you make the play because he's that talented. And you're in. This is it. You got the rookie window right now with year 3 of Kyler Murray, year 4 of Kyler Murray. Go for it.
Man, I'm looking at team futures right now. I need to see what the win totals are for Arizona because I'm fading. I'm still fading.
Their secondary is tough. Their
over-under is 8. Under 8 is plus 100. I said we're going to mix in some props into this show. Under 8 wins next year and a 17-game season is plus 100. What have we seen from anyone operating in a Cardinals uniform that would be – I looked last year over the past 2 seasons, bottom 5 lowest graded quarterback from a clean pocket. Guess who? Kyler Murray.
Oh.
You look at Cliff Kingsbury and what he did with DeAndre Hopkins last year. He should be arrested playing him at left wide receiver almost near exclusively. What he's done with Andy Isabella has been absurd. Like there has been no way, shape, or form here where I'm excited about what this offense has done. And Kyler Murray, I think, is being bound behind his back because of it. Like it's freaking hard to watch, man. It's hard to watch.
Say what you really mean, Austin. Say what you really mean.
And okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about here is Dallas trades down. What's your opinion of that? And what do you think Arizona has to give up to make this move?
Yeah, again, Dallas trading down is more if you're in need of defense. And obviously Dallas is. You got one hole offensively, maybe tight end, maybe. Like they got one of the most complete offenses in the NFL.
Take Fryman with 10.
When healthy. You trade down if you need defense at the top. If you're really wanting defense at the top, the value's just not there, in my opinion. So that's the Cowboys are good. They're good at identifying talent. So we'll get to their pick at 16. But they've been a sharp. If you're just doing in terms of pure scouting teams, they've been one of the better ones in the NFL.
All right, number 11, you have the New York Giants passing on Devontae Smith. This is the first pick. I was like, man, I don't know if I like this one. I think they'd go somewhere else. But you have them passing on Devontae Smith and grabbing offensive tackle Rashawn Slater, who we talked about at the top of the podcast.
You know I have them passing on Devontae Smith for Rashawn Slater.
Why?
Dave Gettleman.
Fair enough. Rashawn Slater, who can play, a lot of people, some people see him as a guard. I know some analysts see him as a guard. Probably has to start at offensive tackle, but in this situation, he probably can't, right? I mean, where does he play for New York?
Guard. I mean, he plays guard, center maybe. They just need help offensively, offensive line. Now, they could use a wide receiver. We love Devontae Smith. I don't think Dave Gettleman's drafting a 166-pound wide receiver. Like he drafts bigger dudes, physical guys. That is he definitely buys into that MO.
He also pays big dudes. Leonard Williams getting paid a fat stack.
That's their scouting method. So Rashawn Slater fits that far, far better than Devontae Smith. So I don't think Devontae Smith would be the pick. If both are available, I would see them going Slater. And it's just, again, job-saving measures. When you got a GM who's kind of backs against the wall, you get a player who you think fills a hole right now. And now that's not to say Rashawn Slater's a bad player. He's 11th on our draft board, so we'd be like, hey, great pick. Mm-hmm. But I will just say, like, he's going to play guard. If you draft him, if the Giants draft him, he's 99.5% playing guard or center.
What do you do with that offensive line then? Because I think Gettleman's looking at, Andrew Thomas, number 4 overall pick.
Can't move him inside.
Yeah, you can't move him inside. Then you have Nate Solder coming back.
Yeah.
Nate Solder coming back.
The highest paid left tackle in the NFL when you signed him.
Yeah. Then you have, obviously, Will Hernandez, guy they drafted in the second round 2018 that they like a ton. And then you have Matt Pure, guy they drafted in the third round out of UConn.
Who's enormous.
Probably can't kick inside, right?
Inside. I would be surprised if he.
But let's hear me out on this. Let's try and kick him inside. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. We have Andrew Thomas. Or no. Fuck. What do we have?
So Thomas left tackle, Hernandez
Andrew
left
Thomas,
guard, Rashawn Slater in center.
Yeah.
Peart at right guard, Solder at right tackle.
I think Gettleman's looking at that. He's on Our Lads right now. He's on OurLads.com. He's looking at that, and he's like, man, I think I'm in. No, it's actually, that's page 1 of the binder. Yeah. Our Lads printout is page 1 of that big-ass binder that Dave Gettleman has. All right, let's get out of here. We're moving too slow. I got to move some speed here. Number 12, Philadelphia Eagles, after trading back from 6 to 12. You have them taking, which is all, I think this is a fantastic place for the Philadelphia Eagles to get what they got in return to come back down, an extra first-round pick, and still get arguably the best cornerback in this class, Patrick Surtain of Alabama at 12. That's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I just think, yes, the wide receivers on the board for you there in Devontae Smith, but going wide receiver back-to-back years can have some diminishing returns with Jalen Hurts. I might myself lean wide receiver there over Surtain. I probably would. But it's not like your secondary's hot shakes either. Like, you got to win one way or the other. You got to stop the pass or pass. So choose one of those two here. Like Surtain, the floor it's just the highest floor of this cornerback class, in my opinion.
I think it was Justice Mosqueda, who is a fantastic follow on Twitter for the banter. He tweeted out something about the Eagles and that, or he tweeted something originally about the Lions. How are you going to convince fans to watch Jared Goff throw to Geronimo Allison, Quintez Cephas, and Tyrell Williams next year for 17 games? And then he replied with the Eagles situation. Jalen Hurts to Rager, Fulgham, and like Greg Ward. I think is their slot right now. Like that. That's a bleak situation.
J.J. Arthega-Whiteside.
Or sorry, Arthega-Whiteside. If we're fading, if Andy Isabella, the dream is dead for him, I don't know if we...
Do I need to quote Jordy Nelson's stats through 2 seasons
No,
again?
no. Because I will. Let's not. We're already moving too slow. All right, Los Angeles Chargers at 13. I like this one a lot. I think they'd like Rashawn Slater at this pick if they could. But if not, they go after USC offensive tackle Elijah Vera-Tucker. Likely gets kicked inside to guard at the next level. But, I mean, there's an opportunity to play him at tackle 2 out of the gate. I don't think it's smart to initially play really good offensive tackles on the interior.
No, there he'd play tackle. And I think that's keep him. So the curse of people going to LA, he's already in LA. Like he eschews the sort of injury risk that comes with being a Chargers offensive lineman because he's already been around the facility. You know, he's already kind of been in the area. So I do think that, but outside of that, he's super solid. Like, you're just getting a very good offensive lineman. Tackle, he's got short arms, 32.25 inches. Not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but he's more NFL ready than guys with 35-inch arms in this class. Let me tell you that for sure.
Yeah. Looking at Elijah Vera-Tucker's draft prop, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, his over-under is set at 15.5. I would lean the under at -112. I would lean the under. Can you imagine?
Because the Vikings passing would be surprising.
Yeah, the Giants, Chargers, and Vikings all passing on Elijah Vera-Tucker would be very surprising. It would be very, very surprising. All right, let's jump to the Vikings. You have them taking Christian Darrisaw off the tackle, Virginia Tech. Words that come up with him is that he's just like, he is a bully but doesn't know it. I feel like Tevin Jenkins is a bully and he knows it. And maybe he doesn't look like that. I know a lot of people have thrown those images around with him in the glasses in the library or whatever. But like Darrisaw will throw dudes around and it doesn't look like he's trying. And I talked to him about specifically his matchup with Quincy Roche from Miami. Mm-hmm. He said, I locked in for that one. I knew I had to come in and just rough him up and destroy him. I think inside, maybe not on film, inside, the guy's got the heart of a lion, and he's out there grinding. Because I do think that he shows up every single week this past year, highest graded run blocker in all of college football this past year at offensive tackle. Really impressive stuff from Darrisaw. I don't know why people are fading him a little bit. Some people have him falling to the back end of the first. I think Darrisaw, if he's still on the board by Vegas at 17, they honestly go all in.
I love the Bob McGinn articles, if you haven't read them on The Athletic, where he gets the anonymous scout quotes and has the rankings from guys inside the league. One of the anonymous scout quotes about him was, he's so casual. He's just effortless with everything he does. And it really is. That's why he reminds me a lot of, and I've said this, I think his comp to draft, reminds me a lot of Eric Flowers' college tape. Now, Eric Flowers was borderline lazy as well. It was the knock on him then with the New York Giants. I don't think that's the case with Darrisaw. Like, I don't think it's that. It's just he throws a guy and then he's like cool with it. He's like, yep, fucking killed you, whatever.
Yeah, it's wild to watch. It's crazy because you watch like Tevin Jenkins. Again, this is not a slight towards Tevin Jenkins, but like it looks a little bit more intentional for whatever reason. It looks a little more high effort on Jenkins' tape with Darrisaw. It's like dudes are just bouncing off the kid. It's crazy.
And then from the Vikings' perspective, you got Rashad Hill starting left tackle.
That's not great.
So this feels like a gotta have it.
What's your opinion too? Like, I mean, Darrisaw's, again, we talk about ceiling and upside probably too much than we should, but like, I also feel like his floor is very high. Like, Darrisaw is a very, very good offensive tackle for Virginia Tech this past year, graded super well. I don't think a lot of that changes in the NFL. Like, how does Darrisaw not pan out? I think he's a guy that's similar, should be held in similar regard to Elijah Vera-Tucker, where everyone's just like, yeah, he's really good. Like, Darrisaw, I think, should be considered almost similarly. All right, Detroit Lions, they trade back, obviously, with the New England Patriots. Patriots came up for Mac Jones. This is an interesting one. He falls this far. Detroit's in a really good spot. And this is exactly why you trade down in these situations. While teams are, locking into their evaluations, locking into one of the top 5 quarterbacks in this class, a team like Detroit that is not going to be competing for a Super Bowl next year. Fun fact. I hate anyone in Michigan who doesn't see that coming.
Lost a lot of Lions
I'm sorry about that. But for a team that's not going to be competing for a Super Bowl next year, you could trade back, and still at 15, they grab wide receiver Devontae Smith. First Heisman winner at wide receiver since Desmond Howard. One of the most polished receivers in this class, a technician as a route runner. Yes, he's 166 pounds, but it doesn't matter. I talked to Sean Wade. I'll tell you right now, Sean Wade doesn't think it matters. He knows real quickly that Devontae Smith can cook you up and down. Eric Stokes said the same damn thing. It's like these guys, this does not matter. The weight does not matter. Chad Johnson has said that as well. Like, I do think that
Chad Johnson was straight lying, though. He did not play at 170 pounds or whatever he said.
You want to call Chad Johnson out right now?
He came out at like 195 at the combine.
Look at
Chad
the camera.
Johnson. He didn't lose 25 pounds in the NFL. I don't believe that for a second. I'm just saying. Look at Chad Johnson looked like, and look at what Devontae Smith looked like on a football field, and there's a massive difference. I'll just say that. But
you're calling Chad Johnson a liar.
Yeah, that was a lie.
Interesting.
That was an exaggeration of it was a half truth.
She had a flicker. Did you see that light flicker? Chad Johnson's in the room.
He wasn't Cincy earlier.
All right,
but
let's
Devontae Smith, Quintez Cephas. Devontae's a little bit better.
Really? All right, let's go to 16. Dallas Cowboys traded back down. Arizona coming up for Jalen Waddle. Really good spot here for Dallas. They grabbed Christian Barmore of Alabama, the 12th ranked player on PFF's draft board. We, of any analyst on the Athletic consensus board, are higher than Barmore at 12. And for good reason. The NFL is high on Barmore. I think he's going to get drafted inside the top 20 picks because of how bad this defensive tackle class is. At 16 to Dallas, I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about why we're high on Barmore. If you want to go back to the DT pods, just he had a higher pass rushing grade than Javon Kinlaw and Derek Brown coming out. Playing only SEC games. Not a single game last year against non-SEC competition. That's how that worked. Wait, the playoff. Notre Dame and Ohio State, though, were probably the two best offensive lines he faced. So only no cupcakes to beat up, and he had the higher pass rush grade than those two. So talented player, Cowboys, obvious need. They had the worst defensive tackles in the NFL last year. Any team I watched, it wasn't even close. Tristan Hill did not see a double team that he didn't want to end up 8 yards down the field against last year. They just had no one who could hold their ground in the middle there. So, got to do it. It's got to have it. You've really barely addressed. I mean, Neville Gallimore, you can expect some development from here in year 2. But I don't think Tristan Hill is ever going to be your guy there. I just don't think that's happening.
No, I think it's a great pick. I'm looking over some of the YouTube comments and Twitter comments on the live stream right now. People are upset.
About?
There's no way Devontae Smith
falls
past and falls to 15. Okay. Right now, Devontae Smith, over 11.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook, is minus 143. It's more likely that he falls past 12 or 12 or farther. Under is plus 115. The market is telling you, go bet it. I hate the no-way crowd. If you are a part of the no-way crowd on Twitter, go onto your nearest sportsbook or offshore
then rub
and
it
bet
in
it.
Face.
Like, if you don't think Devontae Smith's going to get past 11, bet it. You're in favor right now, plus 115. Go make a play. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. If you think
only if it's legal in your state.
Yep. Oh, yeah, of course. All right, moving down the mock here, we have number 17, Las Vegas Raiders. I've heard Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as an option here, but you have Micah Parsons, the potato chip off the field, blue chip on the field, following the Las Vegas Raiders. They sprint a card in, fella. If he is available at 17, I don't care how big Corey Littleton's contract was. I don't care how big Nick Witkowski's contract was. We were bringing in Micah Parsons, and we're doing it now. And guess what?
Tone setter.
Micah Parsons, with Unique Ngakoue on this team, Max Crosby on this team, Carl Nassib on this team, and also Cleveland Ferrell on this team, is the best pass rusher by a mile, by an absolute mile. Micah Parsons comes in, and he's easily the most productive pass rusher on this team.
I love the clip we tweeted out from the Manning Cubs, actually from Ben Fennell originally, where he gets slammed by Kenneth Gainwell.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
On a chip. But he still throws the right tackle back into the quarterback's lap, even though he got chipped like a fucking monster.
Social teams just chasing clicks, big dog.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously. But Parsons is that dude. He's it at linebacker, what you want. 11-inch hands. You know what they say about linebackers with
hands.
You know what they say about linebackers with big hands, though?
Big feet?
Big tackle radius.
Oh, big tackle radius. That's right. I apologize. I had the same feedback. Honestly, I get a lot of that feedback on Tinder and stuff like that. They actually have hand size on Tinder now, which is cool. Like, I like to add it in.
What are you at, 8 and 3/8?
14, which is interesting. All right, let's get to the Miami Dolphins here, picking at 18. They have, we've talked a lot about, I don't want to be the team that takes the first edge off the board. Kwity Paye of Michigan is built like an alien. And at 18, I'm fine with it, honestly. At that pick, I think 18 is where I start to feel really comfortable taking Kwity Paye off the board. I know he's a project. I know he needs to get a lot better. You still need to see so much more from Kwity Paye for him to be a Khalil Mack or Von Miller in the NFL. Yeah. But at 18, I think it's worth the risk. It's worth the flyer for the Miami Dolphins at 18.
Yeah, and I think the fit here I also like in that on stunts, slants, anything like with a blitz package, he's a monster on, just because that athleticism plays in that regard. He's getting home so damn quickly, like in non-one-on-one situations. Obviously, he has to develop his pass as a pass rusher in that regard. But I think for that scheme, he is the guy you want in this draft class. With those movement skills, his ability to drop in coverage, which we saw on his Instagram the other day, was just the guy moves like a safety in space. It's insane to see. So I think he's just a very good fit for them. Might even go earlier in this draft, honestly.
All right, jumping now to the Washington Football at 19, you have them grabbing linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, adding to what is possibly one of the most insane
it's the best front seven in football.
Yeah, front sevens in football.
If they draft JOK.
Yeah, I think JOK is an awesome fit there. I'm going to skip past that. Let's move. We got to move. We got to churn and burn here. Chicago, you have them taking edge. Jalen Phillips, Miami.
Yes. So I think the teams that are going to want Phillips are the teams that could use Phillips right now. You're not going to draft Phillips and try to stash him like as a developmental guy, which a lot of these guys are in this edge class. the Bears are a team that needs to win right now. Like, they need to save their jobs at head coach and GM. And so if you're out in the quarterback class, you don't get to, you can't get up to 7. You're not going to be able to outbid the Patriots. And then it's cooked. Yeah, maybe wait second, third round, draft one of those guys. But you got to get an impact guy right now. And I think Phillips is that. Could go cornerback here too. But I wanted to save cornerback for the next pick.
You saved cornerback for the next pick. All right, you have the Green Bay Packers trading up with the Indianapolis Colts, taking Greg Newsome, your guy. I don't know. This is a home. This isn't what you think. This is not what you think will happen. This is what you want to happen.
Okay. They've traded up 3 straight first rounds. Green Bay Packers targeted their guy. That is Gutekunst's MO. He comes in the first round with maybe like 4 dudes on a sheet, and it's like, we're going to get one of these possibly. I don't know what he actually does, but seemingly that's what he's done. And Greg Newsome would be one of their guys. He fits their cornerback mold that they've coveted, fits that defense to a fucking T, what they do. And so if he's fallen all the way to 21, I think they make a play. Now, tea leaves are going Elijah Moore to them too, which you know damn well that I would love to see that. But I do think if they're trading up, it would be for a cornerback in this class because of the scarcity. We've talked about the scarcity of cornerback because of the scarcity.
Newsome or Elijah Moore to Green Bay is the move. That's the one that gets you excited on draft night. That's the one.
It's been a while since I've had a pick the Packers had.
Jair Alexander. I remember you. We were hanging out then. That was.
I got hot when Jair.
I think that same year we had Cleveland Ferrell. I think the Raiders. Big fan of that one. All right. Let's go ahead.
No, that was the year before that. That was the year before that.
I don't know who they took that year before.
Raiders. No, Raiders took Colton Miller.
Miller. Who actually has been their best pick of the past.
Passed on Derwin James. I just remember Derwin James being on the clock and the Packers having that pick, and I was losing my mind.
Dude, could have been sick. All right, Tennessee.
Still, Jair's fine.
Tennessee Titans. I've seen this one mocked a ton. Pretty chalky here. Wide receiver Elijah Moore, Ole Miss.
Yeah, get the Ole Miss boys back together.
Have to.
And they're good complementary pieces to each other, and I think perfect for that offense with the play action.
I think they need to add some firepower, man. They need to lock into a pass catcher.
Some juice.
Yeah.
Some juice across from A.J. Brown go a long way, especially just for A.J. Brown's sake also with the way they run that offense.
I mean, can we talk a little bit more? Okay, we brought up win totals a little bit here. Can we talk a little bit more about the Tennessee Titans? And like I've said it a handful of times about them potentially bound for a little regression. Right now, their win total set is 9.5. The under is juiced to -150, but still.
Dude, I can't even conceptualize wins right now with 17 games.
That's fair.
10-7.
But can we talk about talk about Tennessee Titans a little bit longer? Jonnu Smith gone. Corey Davis gone. Starting cornerback Malcolm Butler gone. Adoree Jackson starting cornerback gone.
But he didn't start all the games last year.
Arthur Smith gone.
Yeah,
that's a
big.
This team has lost a lot. The only mainstays are Brown, Ryan Tannehill, and Derrick Henry, and obviously the offensive line has stayed intact as well.
Their saving grace here is that the Texans might not win a game.
Yeah,
2 wins there. The Colts went from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz.
A lateral move,
and lost their left tackle. Lateral move at best.
Yeah, at best.
So they don't have a place where it's like they got better there. It's like they're going backwards a little bit. And then the Jaguars obviously coming up in that division, but I don't know. The Titans are still. Yeah. It's just tough, that division.
It's tough. I don't think this, regardless of how many games they win.
Under's not a terrible bet there.
It's not a terrible bet, but also regardless of how many games they win, it could be a situation like Pittsburgh where this just getting, I don't know, I could see them winning games but not necessarily based on legit strength of skill. They're not going to be probably one of the higher ranked teams from a power rankings perspective next year according to PFF. All right, off the Titans fade. New York Jets at 23. You have them. They're taking off the tackle Tevin Jenkins, Oklahoma State, to pair up with Mekhi Becton, building in the trenches, baby.
This one's almost just vanity pick. It's like, could you imagine Mekhi Becton and Tevin Jenkins just run power with them or not power? What's a play where they both get involved? Run over Mekhi Becton, throw him over on the right side, unbalanced formation, and then run power. Have them double team a fucking 6-tech. My God,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I mean
that's just they're get Zach Wilson some help one way or another with that 23 pick. It's a valuable pick. Can be a guy that can make an impact right away. Get him some help. Don't go the Darnold route.
All right, 24. This is what you think will happen, not what you would do. Running back Najee Harris of Alabama. It's Najee, not Najee, not Naj. I haven't heard Naj a ton, but it's Najee. Najee Harris of Alabama going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 24. This is a pick that, again, If this happens on Thursday, George Chahuri is probably going to lose his mind. But this is a pick that could happen, and this is what you're predicting.
Yeah.
You have, but here, can I say this? Right now, he's like, I think the 65th ranked player on PFF's board, either RB2 or RB3 in that tier with Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, and obviously they're Najee Harris. This is what I'll say. PFF gets a lot of flack for having Najee Harris in the 60s and it not being the number one running back in this class. I'm going to look at the camera. Chris Sims' opinion is awesome, and I love how unique it is, and he does his own work, and that in and of itself deserves respect. All that shade you throw at PFF, he has Javian Hawkins of Louisville ahead of Najee Harris. You know, there is worse there is worse shade to be had out there, okay? I mean, if you want to give PFF heat for having Najee Harris ranked low, why don't you pivot just a percentage, just a small percentage to having Javian Hawkins over Najee Harris? That, again, people view this running back class differently. Don't be overconfident in your evaluation. I know you think Najee Harris is the second coming of Saquon Barkley. It's not true. People view this class differently. Najee Harris, not even the best running back in this class, 65th on PFF's board, in large part to positional value, but also because Javonte Williams is better.
Well, also, okay, how many truly dynamic running backs in the NFL, truly like overcome their offensive line guys, run on the 4.6s?
Yeah.
He's a 4.6 running back. He's a talented dude. Don't get me wrong. I think he'll be a fine NFL running back. But if you're thinking you're getting Adrian Peterson, if you're thinking you're getting MJD in his prime who ran a 4.39, like you think you're getting one of those guys, Najee Harris does not have that explosive ability. He just flat out does not. That guy turns into like you're capped then.
Yeah.
When you're running in a mid 4.6, like Josh Jacobs, we saw last year what happened when he ran behind a bad O-line, 3.9 per. Yuck.
And again, that's not to say that Najee Harris is not a talented player. I mean, he's tier one in the running back class here. I do think that very good player, one that I'd be willing to take back end of the second.
Exactly.
Yeah, back end of the second, top of the third. I'm feeling really good. You take him at one when you're a Steelers team that has more holes than you can count offensively, where you can get better along the offensive line.
Yeah,
I think you can get better defensively. The players you're passing on. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers have relatively two decent needs or two decent upgrade possibilities at offensive tackle and pass rusher. Two valuable positions, two of the highest paid non-quarterback positions in the NFL. I do think that would be a better option than Najee Harris.
And people are going to also say Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was 247 pounds, 22 pounds heavier, ran a 4.52, had a 10-10 broad jump, like one of the all-time athletes at the running back position. Like, he's not Derrick Henry.
He also went in the second round.
And Derrick Henry went in the second round. So,
yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move off of this Najee Harris pick here. Let's jump now to the back end of the mock. Your final mock. It's crazy. End of an era. 2021 NFL draft is coming to a close. Jacksonville Jaguars, you have them taking. I've seen this one a ton. I think I had him going in my latest mock draft here. Yeah. Trayvon Merrick of TCU going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 25.
Need, scheme fit. Joe Cullen, the new DC, coming over from Baltimore. Obviously, they use safeties as hybrid weapons there, throw them all over the football field. So a lot of sense here. Obviously, you'd like to get Trevor some help, but they're good enough. They're not the Jets right now offensively. Yeah. I wouldn't say. Like, they have they like honestly like don't have any holes along their offensive line. They might not have any great players. Like, they might like right tackle, left tackle, right guard are kind of still like, you could upgrade, but you don't have glaring holes to upgrade there.
All right, moving quickly here. Let's go over the next three picks at a time. We got to get to some draft props here before 9:30.
True.
We have to. Cleveland Browns, you have them taking linebacker Jamin Davis of Kentucky. Baltimore with the 27th overall pick, taking wide receiver Rashad Bateman of Minnesota. And then at 28, cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. of Florida State goes to New Orleans Saints. Talk to me about those three picks.
If Jamin Davis, this type of linebacker goes in the first round when you're that athletic. And that's the type of linebacker, like, if you're going to draft, they're the ones... The elite linebackers in the NFL are, again, those guys that can do it all athletically. I liked him in the run game. I still think he's a project. Like, it might not be sweet out the gate with what he was asked to do in Kentucky. The fact that he's 1 year of starting in his entire college career.
Fewest snaps played of any of PFF's top six linebackers.
Kind of wild.
900 career snaps.
Yeah, but that's kind of, I mean, the Browns are needless at this point. They can go anywhere. That's why we rank them second best roster in the NFL and probably caught some flack. Trash. Well done. But
Anthony Trash taking ricochets.
Ravens, Bateman, dream scenario for them. I just think his catch radius, route running ability, NFL readiness, that's what you need at wide receiver right now. You don't want to wait for Miles Boykin to develop. Like, you don't want to pick like that a project. Even like Terrace Marshall would be a little bit too much of a project in my opinion. Although I wouldn't hate Terrace Marshall, but the injury stuff we said. And then the Saints, Samuel, I think he sneaks in the first round. His tape's too good. Size, someone's going to be willing to forgive that, and the need is obvious there. You got Patrick Robinson, pigeonholed, penciled in on the outside right now. You don't want to play on the outside. That dude hasn't played outside in like 8 years or something, so go for Asante Samuel.
All righty. Jumping down. Next few picks here. Going to read off the last four. Indianapolis Colts after trading down with Green Bay Packers. Off the tackle, Walker Little. PFF's guy. You're going to have to bang the table for this guy. This is going to be your Arcega-Whiteside if he doesn't pan out. Stanford guy, too. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Why am I high on these Stanford guys?
Well, Walker Little right now is the 26th or 27th ranked player on PFF Sport, 26 or 27. And on the Athletic Consensus Board, he's in the 90s. So you better be ready to rock and roll. Okay, Walker Little comes out of the gate slow. You better be standing up proud, ready to rock. All right, Buffalo Bills at 30. Eric Stokes, cornerback of Georgia, sticking in there. And then Baltimore Ravens at 31. Edge Jason Owe. So they turn Orlando Brown Jr. and a handful of other and some change to come up and grab Jason Owe, Penn State, one of the more freaky players. Not even going to say edge defender, players in this class. His
human
athletic testing. Yeah, human beings. His athletic testing is absurd. And then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love this pick for them. Edge, Carlos Basham Jr., positional versatility, can play multiple gaps. One of the older prospects in this class, but man, I do think that he's a guy that for a team that is in a window. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a window. Go get guys who can start early. Carlos Basham Jr. right now is one of the, I think him, Rashad Weaver, those two guys are two edge defenders that maybe don't have the same ceiling as an Owe or some of these other guys, but they can come in and play really good football right now. I think Basham Jr. at Tampa Bay is another pick I really like.
Yeah, he sees the field there for them, and that's something that they obviously are going to covet. With Little, Colts have even said, and that's why they trade down. Ballard just always trades down. They've said that there's a lot of guys in this tackle class they think are good. Like, there's a lot of guys think can come in and pass protect right away. And I agree. I'm of that opinion as well. So I think trade down, just grab the next one on your board, and that to me would be Walker Little. Eric Stokes of the Bills is one of the best tacklers in the entire draft class at the cornerback position. I've seen his zone defense. You're going to have to tackle a lot. 5 missed tackles on 89 attempts in his career. 4.3 speed. A lot to work with there for them. And then the Ravens, they've developed edge talent better than maybe anyone. Maybe the best edge talent developing team in the NFL. And so no better spot for Jason Owe to go than there. That's the mock.
That is the mock, the final 2021 NFL mock draft from Mike Renner. Make sure you follow Mike Renner on Twitter, PFF_Mike. If you listen to this podcast, you likely follow Mike on Twitter. We're going to be live, streaming the draft live. We're going to be talking about every single pick, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and we're going to do a 3-hour recap show on Sunday. We're going to need a full box of medical-grade smelling salts to make it through this week. And definitely support PFF. That you can find that stream on PFF.com, YouTube, or Twitter. You can also use promo code DRAFT30 for 30% off any PFF subscription on PFF.com right now through Monday. Before we jump, we got about 8 minutes here before we got to get off. I want to talk some draft props with you, some bets, some interesting opportunities for us to look at here. I'm going to just go through the draft specials, to be honest. I think that's where you get the most opportunity to look at where these guys are going to go. And I'm going to start with Penei Sewell. Right now, Penei Sewell, his over-under is set at 6.5, minus 112 either side. If you had to bet the Penei Sewell prop at 6.5, which way are you leaning?
After that Flowers trade, I'll go under 6.5.
Okay.
Go under 6.5.
Najee Harris, Alabama running back.
Is it 24.5?
25.5.
Oh, so
under,
the Jaguars
under
could be
is
in the
plus
play,
100.
Man, if the Jaguars drafted him, I would be fucking pissed. I believe Harris to the Steelers. Now, can he go anywhere? Would anyone else really draft him before that? I don't think so, but I truly do. Like, the Steelers are not. They're not an analytically driven team. They are about as pure a scouting traits tools team as still exists in the NFL. They have their guys. They're bored. Don't listen to outsiders. What Kevin Colbert was saying, they used to look at mock drafts to try to figure out what other people are doing. They don't anymore. That's how you draft Terrell Edmonds and Artie Burns in the first round, by the way. But neither here nor there. They are about as, like I said, traits and internally driven as any team. So if it comes out that they like Najee Harris, there's probably a good fucking chance they like Najee Harris.
That's very true. 25.5, and that under is plus 100. I'd probably lean that pretty heavy, dude. I think I like that a lot. And then J.C. Horn, his over-under set at 12.5. The under juiced to minus 148, so the favorite there.
Take it.
And then you have
he's going under 12.5.
The over 12.5 plus 115.
He's going under 12.5. Just is. That's the skill set's going under 12.5.
All right, both two players at 10.5. Jalen Waddle and Patrick Surtain. The over for Surtain is plus 125, though.
That one's tough. I kind of like the over for Surtain.
Really? Over 10.5 for Surtain.
That one's tough, though, because corners are in this class are kind of scarce. The over was juice, though, you said? +1?
Yeah, juice to +125.
I'll take the over then there. The Waddle one was what was the?
Waddle is at over, under. The over is at -106. The under at -118.
I hate sports.
For those who don't bet a ton, I feel like I need to level set on what the fuck this means. So the bigger the minus number, the more negative the number is. They're saying the more likely it is, and the less money they're going to give you in return.
How much you have to bet to make $100?
Yes. How much you have to bet to make $100 is a great way of explaining it. Better way than explaining it.
That's literally what it means.
Yeah.
I lean under there, though. Like that, we talked about Waddle and his kind of. Now, which team drafts him is the problem, is the kind of only problem there. Carolina probably not going to draft. Denver probably not going to draft wide receiver. Cowboys probably not going to draft wide receiver. Shit, I'm talking myself into the over now.
Uh-oh.
Let's go over.
All right, let's go over. All right, let's a couple more here before we jump. Micah Parsons, over, under 13.5.
Over, dude. That one seems like easy money at this point.
-103 for the over.
Do it.
Do it?
Okay, so Micah Parsons gets drafted. Immediately, first thing that your local news reports about Michael Parsons is that he was involved in a bullying scandal where apparently he put his penis around other men in the locker room's buttocks. That's immediately what gets reported if you draft Michael Parsons.
Not ideal.
I'm just saying, allegedly, that was an alleged account from a former teammate at Penn State. You're drafting that 10th overall. I'm just gonna say it like that. Just seems like. That's why I'm going to the Raiders.
Yeah, that's why you haven't fallen a little bit further. All right, a couple more players here, and we'll get out of here. Azeez Ojulari, obviously with the recent news about the knee stuff, his over-under set at 25.5.
Over, dude, after the knee stuff. Again, the edge class is kind of just throw it up in the air, see what sticks. And if a guy has an injury, well, you're going to go with another guy because they're all very similar levels.
I think another over-under is interesting is Jalen Phillips at 19.5. -112 to go over either way, or over under either way.
Interesting. Oh, that's
Could Washington make a play?
-112.
Washington's not going to pick another edge, are they?
No. So the interesting teams there for him would be Minnesota. If they don't go O-line, I think the Cardinals mildly interesting. Washington wouldn't. The Dolphins could though too. So those teams are all in the mix for him. I'd lean over on that one.
All right, a couple more, and then we're out.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne, over, under 30.5.
Over, dude. I'd be floored if he goes in the first round. His tape this past year, he gained too much weight. He used to get down to like 200 again. He got up to 215. Don't need to be 215. You could be Jamal Charles running at 200 in the NFL and be money. Slim down, Travis.
All right, Elijah Vera Tucker, last one. Over, under 15.5.
Man, that is a low number for him. But like we talked about it, is he going to fall past the Giants, the Chargers, and the Vikings? I'd be surprised. I'd go under on that one.
Under it is. All right, that's going to do it for the final 2-for-1 Drafts podcast episode before the 2021 NFL Draft. To give some insight on our schedule, Mike and I are going to be recording a podcast after every single day of the draft. Day 1, day 2, and day 3. We'll likely do one then. We'll skip Sunday, and then we'll do another one on Monday.
I'm getting hammered on Sunday.
Dude, we're going to get absolutely anyway, moving off of that, it's going to be a fun weekend. Man. Make sure you're going to pff.com, YouTube. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, helping us out a ton in that regard. Until next time, until after the draft, until after the first round, Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, producer Mike Quinn, in spirit, producer David Sofaro, 2-for-1 Drafts.